Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fighting the Void. Ginger here. You can find me at Fighting the Void, or well, no, it's just Fighting Void at Fighting Void on Twitter, and Fight the Void on Gmail. And eventually, there's going to be a website up, but that's taken a back burner. And anyway, we've been off for a couple of weeks due to various other scheduled activities, and we're back today with a close friend of my last guest, Blindfold Bethany. So, Bryn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Now, Bryn, first of all, Bryn, where can people find you on the Twitter?
Brynly01. It's how it sounds. BINLEY01.
There you go. All right. So, now Bethany recommended having you on because you're an atheist and she's a devout Christian, and you guys get along well.
Yeah.
Who knew? Who knew this was possible? And I'm myself and not terribly surprised at this because I've had a couple of atheist friends in the past. I've been on both sides of the street. Yeah. Oh yeah. I was an atheist for a while back in high school, and I was definitely agnostic well into my 20s. And I was raised Protestant, now I'm Catholic, so I've hit it from lots of different angles, man. So the idea that people of vastly different beliefs can get along is not entirely foreign to me.
Yeah.
But if your life is either spent on with the mainstream media or social media, you might think otherwise.
Yeah. It's just in the news in general, it's just everything seems so polarized, I think. People are trying to pick teams and whatever they can, politics, religion, whatever.
And it's not just a matter of this is my team, this is your team. This is my team and everyone else is the devil.
Yeah. Well, except for atheists. It's to atheists, it's everything we're right and everyone else is wrong.
Right. Obviously. We're the smart ones. Everyone else is a flaming idiot.
True.
Yeah, I mean that's how a lot of the more prominent ones certainly come off. Even honestly, like Sam Harris, who gets along with like Ben Shapiro and everything.
And Jordan Peterson.
Right. He's perhaps he's softened a bit in his older age. Is entirely possible. But he's also the guy who once wrote, some ideas are so dangerous it may be ethical to kill people who have them.
Yeah, but we do go too far sometimes.
Yeah, just Harris, he might have reached a little bit on that one. But of course, I certainly know that speaks for probably the vast minority of atheists. In fact, one of my close friends on Twitter, he also describes himself as an atheist. And in fact, me being a strict Catholic, I hung out with this guy and his very male partner. We hung out and had dinner and stuff in DC when I was there a few months back. So we all had a good time.
Yeah, that's good. We can all have a civil time.
Exactly. So, but more important, how does this work out for you? And I'm especially interested because I forget the exact wording she used, but Bethany described you as like a strong moral compass or having one.
Right. I'm not sure I have a strong moral compass. I try and do what's best for. I try and appropriate myself to other people's situations. Like, when I was on Twitter and I started having followers, they were very, very religious because that just more religious people just brought more religious people. And I realized, okay, I might say something offensive here. I might be stupid some days and say something idiotic.
No, that never happens on Twitter.
Yes, of course. But so I realized I might have to be careful with what I say, what I do on here, what I retweet, whatever.
Okay.
So, and one of those was like, I don't say God's name in vain, like whatever, like, because even though Christians do it, or
So we do.
religious do it, I just say, okay, I'd better not do that, otherwise I might offend someone else.
You're going to wind up ticking off that one subset that's extremely sensitive to it.
Yeah.
Right.
It is just about like, I do just want to show like respect to, because I admire most of the people on there, whether they're Catholic, Jewish, or atheist like me. As long as we get along, I can respect you. That's
right.
my view, at least.
Basically, so long as you're not obviously a flaming idiot.
Yeah. Well, even then, I can go, oh, well, this guy just needs help.
We just need to reach out to him. Just
yeah,
it's a little bit. So actually, and I'm sorry, I'm sure this question happens a lot, and it's by no means meant in a trite way, though. But when you are analyzing something from a moral perspective, what, how do you go about judging that? I've asked other atheists, and the answers tend to vary for obvious reasons.
Oh, I guess it's instinctual.
Okay.
I can go on for intelligence, but that doesn't help me in my case. But or it just comes out for me. Just well, give me an example of what you mean.
I'm gonna try to think of something that isn't obviously easy, like, why don't you steal? Well, because that's bad for society, right. Obviously, and you could go to jail. I guess here's something that's here's something. Why help the old lady cross the street?
Because I have empathy. I can empathize with the other I know how I want to be treated, and I can kind of symbolize like, how do you want to be treated, and maybe it's similar to how I want to be treated, and I can act that out, and I can say, right, that person is suffering slightly, and I can see that, and they're slow, they're probably got arthritis. I can help them across the street if they would like. I'll ask them first, and then
of course, yes,
and then I would help them. But that's where I come from. That's my view.
Okay. So essentially you're applying the golden rule.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. And hey, it's a good rule anyway.
Yeah. Whether it's a good philosophy. Doesn't matter who it came from.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would also agree with the sentiment. Now, let's pick maybe the most hot button moral issue of the day of many years now. Abortion. Where do you line up on that one?
Oh, I'm against it because I can't.
I sense a slight butt there.
Yeah, it's for me. I used to be pro-choice.
Okay.
But then I listened to Ben Shapiro and stuff, and then I switched to pro-life because I couldn't really argue against it not being alive. Once it is alive, it's alive. But I've been thinking recently really hard about the subject, but I don't think it's whether life starts, but rather consciousness. Because even though you're alive, you have to have consciousness to experience that. And although I'm still pro-life because we have no idea when conscious begins or ends.
Okay.
But whether we do find out more about consciousness, we'll decide whether I'm pro-choice or pro-life in the end, if we ever do.
Okay. That's interesting, and it's not uncommon. And I actually also appreciate it's not an uncommon attempt to draw a line. I think there's a couple of things I would say to it. One is I appreciate the fact that you're still erring on the side of caution.
Yeah.
Usually people go, hey, there's potential wiggle room. I'm gonna wiggle right the hell out of this.
No, I admit I can't get out of this one.
Okay, no, that's good. And then the I guess the other thing I would say is that leads you into dicey territory where like somebody's in a coma.
Yeah.
That, you know, if that falls into the realm of not having consciousness, which I can easily see it doing so.
Does that consciousness wake up, or it depends really, because if
it's something that we don't know right now.
If the baby hasn't experienced consciousness yet, then it really hasn't awoken to life yet. So it hasn't even experienced life at all until it has consciousness. But
True.
once someone's in a coma, they've experienced life, and depending how likely they are to wake up, whether it be in a few weeks, months, or years, or not at all, some people might find to just pull the plug, or not, depending on what situation.
Okay. But well, I don't want to turn this into a whole big abortion debate. But have you ever I'm gonna recommend one short story for you to read. You're gonna have to find it online. In fact, I can send you a link. I've got one in my back pocket.
Please do.
And it's are you familiar with the author Philip K. Dick?
No, sorry.
Okay, he's the guy who wrote the books that Blade Runner was based on.
Oh, okay.
So he's a big deal in sci-fi world. There's a whole slew of other movies that are based on his work, like Total Recall, Paycheck, Minority Report. They just did a low budget version of Radio Free Albemuth.
Right.
And anyway, this one is called The Pre-Persons.
Right.
And it was written in 1974. It was basically his response to Roe v. Wade.
Okay.
And let's just say he wasn't a fan. And so I'll send you a link, and I'll let you read it. I'll let you read it yourself.
Oh,
because
I have heard of the book Blade Runner's Off. It's something about sheep, isn't it?
Do androids dream of electric sheep?
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah. So I'll just let you read the story for yourself without spoiling anything for you, except that it deals with it deals in a way with exactly the consciousness question you're talking about.
Okay. That'd be great to read. Thank you very much.
It's fascinating. Equally fascinating, it's not in print anywhere currently.
Oh, wow.
You can go and you can find any number of his books printed all over all over. You can find them on Amazon. You can find them in the bookstores where you can still find bookstores. And I looked all over in every currently in print collection, because it's short story. Of course, it'll be in a collection. Does not exist.
Oh, wow.
I had to get a print copy of this thing. I had to go and actually get the original sci-fi fantasy magazine that it was printed in. So thank you, Amazon, for that one. You helped me find the original. Since I discovered this like 10, 15 years ago, something like that. Since then, it's more copies of it have proliferated online. Just scanned with who knows what legality, I don't know, but scanned and put up online.
Yeah.
So okay, leaving that aside, so I guess the religious situation over in the UK now, certainly our perception over here in the United States, at least among Christians, is that atheists are probably in the majority over there, or at least a much more significant minority than they are here.
Well, it depends.
Does it depend how you define it?
It's just really, what's the word? I think it's more multicultural. With immigration right now, there's a lot of influx of Muslims in the country right now, and it's not really taking over, but it's just a small thing that's growing, and that's interesting to watch. But as well as, because in Ireland, Ireland's probably the most predominant Catholic part is the UK.
Catholic-ish.
Yeah. But regarding religion, we do still pray in schools. We still it is still a strong part of our culture. And although I don't I never thought of it as a child. It wasn't something that was important to me. It's just something we did.
Okay,
but
right.
It was just it's still a strong influence on us. And
okay, are there a lot of people that are actually religious though? I'm just curious. Like they actually bother to go to church on like a Sunday or something, or
not that I've encountered. I've seen in schools. If it's very rare to find like. Because my only view of religious people has been like fellow students who have also been religious, but they're far and few between. But
you bring up something so incredibly interesting to me, that the UK actually has still a state religion. You know, the Queen is technically the head of the Church of England.
Yeah, it's just background noise. It's literally like it's something. It's just laws dictated from the past, and we don't care about it anymore. It's just like some of us are religious, that's fine, but when we get married, we still have to pay money to the church and whatever.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah.
That is so. It is so interesting to me that like there's all of this. Well, like you said, all of these laws, all of these rules dictated from the top, but other than creating background noise, a framework that you're clearly still living in. But as far as individual practice, it's like virtually non-existent. Whereas here in America, there's no control of that at all from the top.
Yeah.
And
isn't that the First Amendment, like separation from church and state?
Not the separation from church and state is the way it's used is overstated,
right?
In a way, the way it gets used these days is essentially like clergy almost isn't allowed to have an opinion on any sort of government policy,
right?
As far as some people stretch it. What it's actually there for is to prevent the state from controlling the religion, as opposed to vice versa, which is the way most people tend to interpret it. So it's right there in our Constitution that government will stay the ever-living heck out of religion, and that's for two reasons. One, most of the first Americans, of course, came from England, and in some cases, certainly not all. But wanting to be able to practice Christianity differently than the crown liked.
Yeah.
And also because there were so many different versions of Christianity already present in America, trying to set up just one as the official state religion would have been a horrible idea. that would have been like the 100 Years' War all over again.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
that wasn't a smart idea to make it official.
Yeah, exactly. So the government completely stayed out of it here, though they're getting more into a restrictive mode now.
Yeah,
but again, the point being though that religion is much more, obvious practice religion is much more common here than it is in the UK, although probably less common than a lot of people would think it is.
Yeah.
But that kind of brings us to the situation in the UK in general. And you mentioned the Muslim immigration. I know there's lots of immigration from other parts of Eastern Europe as well.
Yeah.
Over the years since the Iron Curtain dropped.
Well, I'll give you my rough opinion of it. Because Brexit right now has just... We're meant to be leaving on the 29th of March, I think. And we have no plan. Every plan that's been provided has been shot down by the government. And if we don't have a plan, we're either going to have to extend Brexit for another few years, which is actually, I think, is going to be a good idea because we need to get a proper plan in order. and I'd rather a proper plan than a stupid no deal, because a no deal sounds quite what's the word?
It's not going to go well, I would think,
No.
if you wind up having no deal, because I mean, there's a reason it passed.
Yeah,
the majority of the people wanted it to pass, and if it doesn't,
the government has shot down no deal as well. So no deal's the automated one. So the government's trying to avoid no deal. But if no deal is the only option to take, then they're going to go for that, unless they want to extend it for another 3 years.
Well, now what happens if they don't extend it come March 29th? Are you just poof, you're out of the EU? Is that the way?
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to try and do. That's what the goal is. Just saying, like, this it, we're leaving. We'll just set up the agreements afterwards, and then we'll work around it then. But then again, you've got a lot of stuff to sort out.
Right. Well, who knows? Maybe it'll make it more real and give them that urgency that, okay, no, we really do need to figure some stuff out here.
Oh, we've had that urgency for 2 years.
Right. I think, it was from sitting over here, it looks like there were a lot of people that didn't want it to pass, that were really trying to or block it in some way, do another referendum, things like that. Basically, encourage the people to continue to vote until they give the right answer.
I was when I was in high school during the what's it called, the referendum, and I would have voted Remain then, and I'm pretty sure I would have voted Remain because the jurisdiction was that we would be leaving in 2 years. I thought that was a little short for what we needed to do. I would have rather 5 or 10 years to do it properly, and thus we could have a proper laws in place and actually good set boundaries. But again, it was kind of an urgent thing then, and with immigration and stuff, so we chose 2 years and then we left, and I would have rather remained then. Okay,
fair enough. Now, is it like you would have, if I understand you correctly, you were okay with Brexit so long as things were situated appropriately, whatever that looks like?
I'm if everything's everyone's informed, everyone knows how's everything, all of the new agreements that are set, then that's fine. But currently people are worrying about their businesses, like the pounds or euros are slightly in flux, and so prices are starting to have to rise again. So everyone's a little tense, and I would have rather like 5 years of just, right, let's take it slow, let's do everything properly, let's sort out the border between Ireland and Northern Ireland and Southern the Republic of Ireland, and then let's do a proper job and try and keep it not dangerous.
Now, I guess what would you like to see that agreement look like? What would a separated UK look like, but still has a relationship with the EU?
I don't know.
Pick any particular topic.
Yeah,
just pick one.
I wouldn't like the EU laws. They can keep their EU laws. I don't want them because of what's the one that's currently implementing on YouTube? Article 13, isn't it, or 15?
Educate me.
There's a copyright law coming in from the EU. Basically, it gives more power to copyright holders, and we can't view that content.
Oh, bother.
Yeah, it's quite worrying to me, because I don't like any sort of government banning videos outright, and YouTube tends to be left-leaning, and so I'm not going to see any much of Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson if it comes into fruition.
If they have so much as a clip of somebody else.
Yeah.
They could be throwing out a copyright thing, and YouTube is pretty free with the copyright with interpretation of copyright law anyway.
Yeah.
You know, basically somebody says, as I understand it right now, basically if somebody makes a copyright claim against you, your video is taken down for at least a little while.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's anything that gets demonetized isn't allowed to be viewed in the EU.
What?
I think that's it.
Are you kidding?
I may be wrong, but
oh my gosh, that's like everything to the right of Bernie Sanders at this point.
Yeah, I think that's how it goes. Oh, I could be wrong, but that's what I've been informed in.
That is utterly insane to me. Yeah. And I honestly, it wouldn't surprise me because oh my goodness, how on earth is it that people don't? Oh my gosh, there's just enough crazy laws passed in the EU and the UK that I believe that that's a distinct possibility that they would actually pass if it's demonetized. You can't see it.
Yeah, that that's really worried me. So yeah, the EU can keep their laws. We'll organized, hopefully, trade between us and fair trade between us, and hopefully we'll manage to work out an agreement there.
Yes.
But anything else? Trade. What else? Laws. Oh yeah. We'll probably be able to. Currently, we're allowed to go to the EU without what is
it? Passport?
Yeah, I think so. And we could just go there. We could go there for a school trip, and it wouldn't cost that much because we could literally drive there.
Right. Okay.
But right now, if the laws do change and we leave the EU, it would become more expensive, and thus we'd have to have everything in the EU. We wouldn't be able to go for school trips in France. That's basically it.
Is that actually a thing that you guys do? Like just
we've been offered school trips. They're quite expensive, but because that's mostly because of where they stay, traveling, food, whatever.
Okay.
But not because of like transport towards having a passport towards France.
So it's not necessarily a common everyday sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just, it's probably an optional thing that if you can afford it, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's been it in high schools.
Okay. What about other laws that are in the UK? There's been a lot of discussion. I'm sure you've seen it on the right-wing YouTube channels about the knife control policies now in at least places like London.
Oh yes, it's got to the extent. London is a weird place right now because it's so violent. London is kind of like a what's it called? A heart of everything's going into London and right now, and
okay,
it's becoming really polarized and really stressful there. And from the rest of the UK's perspective, it looks okay.
Okay,
but when it just comes to London, it looks really insane.
Okay, you say polarized. In what way is London polarized?
Well,
is it
everything's going down there right now? Brexit. Usually they're what's it called? There's a strong influx of influence coming in. Not Muslims, immigrants coming in there, and it's all because it's. What's the best way to explain this? It's becoming more violent, and compared to the rest of the UK, it's irregularly violent, and the knife ban is part of the attempt to stop that and make sure everything cools back down a bit. But unfortunately, it's kind of the current mayor of London is not really good, in my opinion. He told everyone that living in a city is part of having violence in a city is part of living in a big city. And
I remember that quote.
Not true.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be true, especially, my goodness, in London, where you already have like pretty much absolute gun control. You already have like surveillance frigging everywhere.
Yeah.
And now you've got knife control, which we used to joke about here in America. Like, oh, next thing you know, they won't let you carry a pocket knife. That's crazy talk. We'll never do that.
Yeah.
Here we are.
It's happening.
I remember when they first started doing that, I saw a picture circulating online of all the things they confiscated in like a weapon sweep.
I think
literally included potato peelers.
I think they actually used Cookie Monster to promote only cowards carry or something like that.
Yeah, because I'm interested in Cookie Monster's opinion on my level of bravery. It's like, what? And incidentally, if I'm living in a town where, you know, we're regularly making the news for a bombing or for a random stabbing or cars randomly running people over on bridges, you know what? I just might want to have something. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I just want to be safe, okay?
Yeah. It's like I don't want to stab the police officer. I don't want to stab him. I want to stab the guy trying to stab the police officer. Thank you very much. Or here in America, shoot him because you have guns. Yeah.
That's an whole gun argument over there.
Exactly. You know, we've got plenty of knives too.
Never know when you need them.
Right. So it's really interesting just watching everything. You mentioned the immigration again. I remember seeing a story. I don't know if you saw this at all, but it was, I can't remember exactly where it was in the UK, but there was a Muslim group protesting the teaching of homosexuality in like the public school.
Yeah, I saw that. It's becoming so polarized because I don't understand the left has felt strongly about immigration, but the left also has a strong feeling about homosexuality.
Right.
And those two can't conflate. They're like the two opposites. You can't have both. You
wouldn't think so. You would think it would be foolish to even try to encourage mass migration from certain areas of the world and also promote homosexuality as a positive good.
Yeah, but I've heard of a lot of atheists talk about this on atheist YouTube channels or whatever, but they've been going on like Islam isn't a feminist what's it called, religion. It isn't. That's what they're saying. Yeah. It's becoming the left's kind of eating itself right now. And I really don't like that because what other options do we have other than going? Well, luckily the UK has a lot of other like third parties. We've got the SNPs, we've got the Liberal Democrats, we've got DUP, we got UKIP, but the two main ones is Labour is Labour is liberal and Conservatives are conservative.
Okay, yeah, of course, and those terms mean something a little bit different over there than they do here. I mean, I think your conservative party is probably to the left of our Democrats at least a couple of years ago. Not these days. Our Democrats are like they're they're jumping as far left as they possibly can, as quickly as they can.
Let's have socialism. Hey,
it's shifted dramatically.
Yeah.
And honestly, at least in terms of what they're saying publicly, it shifted dramatically just in the last year.
It's been incredible. Like, it's just been. If Britain was on fire, I would have popcorn and I'd just be eating what would be happening over in America. It has been entertaining.
Oh yes, it's nothing short of entertaining here. It's like you either have to cry or just sit back and laugh, because those are the only two options that I really see. If you take it seriously, you're probably going to cry and get like really super depressed. If you take it just with a little bit of grain of salt, and realize that what, no matter what happens, every civilization dies and a new one will come up.
Yeah.
You know what? If you just kind of keep the big picture, you can sit back and laugh a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that was my transition towards the right, because I was fairly left-leaning when I was younger, but when the 2016 2015 election came up, it was like I didn't feel as strongly towards politics as most of the liberal left did, apparently. Okay. So I was like, okay, why are you crying? This isn't that bad. It's just another person who's in the president. That's all right. It's maybe he'll pass laws, yes, but we can make polls against him if he's a bad president, if he's a bad president. Yeah, it's fair. Don't worry about it. There isn't really a wrong person here you can choose when in politics. It's just like, who's you left leaning, who's right leaning, and
it's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
is a big thing. And you know what? Even if it winds up leading to the demise of the country, eventually that's going to happen. Yeah. No civilization is eternal, and ours will fall one way or another, sooner or later. I don't want it to fall today or tomorrow. I'm not in a hurry.
You're a very young country compared to the rest of the world. You've still got a lot of life to go.
I hope so. I hope so. It has been pointed out many times that republics don't often exist as republics for very long. Republics tend to disintegrate in roughly 200 years. The country may still continue, but it's not a republic anymore.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Rome. Rome lasted for 1,000 years, but it wasn't a republic for anywhere near that length of time.
Yeah.
And they still continued nice and strong and kept going for a very long time.
Yeah. Didn't even turn into like the Byzantine Empire or something.
Well, yes.
I'm sorry, my history's a bit off.
Yeah, they grew so big that they had two capitals, one in Rome, one in Constantinople. And then after the Western Empire fell, due to various barbarian invasions, the Eastern Empire became the Byzantine Empire. And then that, of course, eventually fell to the Ottomans. And
yes.
and now, as they might be giants would say, now it's Istanbul, not Constantinople.
Right.
I was actually just listening to that song just the other day. Are you familiar with that at all?
Not at all.
Oh my goodness, that's too bad. They might be giants. They're this parody band, and they just do humorous songs about any number of things. And they've got a whole song about how the fact that now it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. Whole song just about that. It's really quite funny. Just look them up on YouTube.
All right, you have to give me that link too.
Oh, I will. They've also got a song that's all about beer.
I don't like beer.
What the hell kind of Englishman are you?
I know. I turned 18 and everyone was like, "Oh, try this, Bryn, try this," and they've given me all sorts of different ales, and all of them were awful. I couldn't stand them. They were all bitter and tasteless, and I didn't like them. It made me feel like sick.
Oh my goodness!
I'm no good Englishman.
I'll be fair. It was actually well into my 20s before I found a beer that I liked. I tried one. I would try one every now and then, and just be like, "Nope, tastes like horse piss." Or when I mentioned horse piss tasting, like, I'm done with this. And then I tried another one. Eventually, I kind of got into I found some hard liquors that I liked. I found some wine that I was okay with. But then one day I was actually sitting with my brother and we were just talking, chatting, and I'm drinking a red wine. He's drinking an oatmeal stout. And I'm like, let me try that. And I did. And I was like, I could learn to like this. You know, I was like, that's not so bad. And yeah, so I just discovered beer that I liked, and now I
maybe that'll be me in the future.
It's entirely possible. You know, beer drinking is kind of like reading. It's everyone's a reader. You just haven't found what you like to read yet. Beer. I think beer's the same way. You just got to find the beer you like.
It comes with age, perhaps.
Perhaps. And you know, if you're ever over here, if you're over here like visiting Bethany or something, we actually live not terribly far from each other. So I'll head over there. You guys can head over here, and we'll do we'll do an American version of a pub crawl.
Hey. I would enjoy that. Thank you.
We where I live, actually, there's like independent breweries. You can't swing a stick without hitting one. They're everywhere.
Oh, it sounds like home.
It's a wonderful thing. I love it. You know, initially when the microbrews started to come up, lots of people were making fun of it. It was like, stupid hipsters can't drink real man's beer and everything. And you know what? That stuff actually tastes good. I am incredibly thankful for all these hippies that are making good beer.
Man. I like hippies.
I'm glad they're making good beer starting out in their mom's basement. I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah, there's a huge culture here. Well, my mum was a barmaid, so I'm very, very...
Right. Okay, so I'm assuming you at least like tea. I mean...
Oh, no, I don't like tea.
Are you sure you're English? Were you adopted?
I'm very... I attribute it to my Welshness. I'm sorry.
Okay. So the Welsh maybe not so into it.
Oh no, we do like pubs and other stuff, but it's all very strange to me. I can't understand it.
Do you actually speak Gaelic?
I speak a bit of Welsh. Shemai, Brynly dwi, dwi'n hoffi siocledi, achos mae'n, what's it called? I don't know. But basically that was, hi, my name is Bryn. I like chocolate. That's it. That's basically all I knew.
Fair enough. Are they actually teaching that in schools again over there? I've heard talk about that, but
it was pushed away in the early 1900s, but it's slowly come back, and there's been a huge pushback over the recent years, and it's been taught in primary schools, and there's actual like 100% Welsh speaking schools you can send your children to, and it's really useful because if you're a fluent Welsh speaker in the you can pick a job like that. It's
really?
Yeah, it's really valued. I should have focused it more in school, but
never too late.
Yeah, but there's actually a really interesting image of strong. We border England, and as the further you get to the coast, the more Welsh speakers you find. So it's like it slowly gets bluer and bluer across the screen.
So interesting.
Yeah,
I love, for those who are utterly unfamiliar with British history, the Welsh are actually the real British. They're
That's true.
yeah. They're for those who don't know, England is named after the Angles. The Angles and the Saxons that came over, and Welsh is from their word for foreigner. They basically pushed all the native Britons off into one little corner.
And that's when that's what separated us from the Scots and everything else. That's what started out the different languages, Welsh and the proper Gaelic and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's so it was really it was mind blowing when I first learned that. I was like, wait a minute. You mean the Welsh are the real British?
Yeah.
They just completely stole it? Those bastards.
And the Welsh are cooler too. We have dragons.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Isn't I know one of the sites that gets credit for possibly being Camelot. Isn't that in Wales? I forget what it's Cadbury? Is that it? I forget. It's been a while.
Cadbury's the chocolate. Are you talking about Camelot or something like that?
Yeah, but there's a site that's got a different name that that actually gets credit for possibly being Camelot, or at least the inspiration for it.
That's possible. We do have amazing castles here.
Yeah.
But
it might have been like Cadbury Hill or something like that. It's been a long time. The reason why I know anything about British history is because I got really into King Arthur when I was younger.
Oh yeah, easily.
And I went beyond just reading the legends. I actually got into a little bit of the possible, at least the possible history that might have actually inspired the legends, and so that led to reading all about the Celts throughout Europe and everything. And I just learned a lot because from that one little interest. It was great.
Yeah, that's useful. Have you ever watched Merlin? It's a BBC show.
I have not. I'm aware of it, but I haven't watched it.
It's relatively good. I used to watch it as a kid, and it was on before Doctor Who, so it's like, okay, I'll watch that then.
Of course, the BBC staple, the good old Doctor Who.
The Doctor Who is the most classic British thing for me. A silly man gets in a blue box and goes around doing stupid stuff across the galaxy. That's fantastic. And it's survived for so long. My dad used to watch it as he was a kid, and his Doctor used to be the 4th Doctor. Mine was the 10th Doctor. And it's become more of a family tradition now.
The 10th Doctor, that was Tennant, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I never watched any of the old Doctor Who at all. I only got into it with the revival, and I really enjoyed it for a while. I petered out with Capaldi, and it wasn't just so much because of Capaldi. It was partially because they took it off of Netflix and everything, or basically they took it any free way for me to watch it away. So I'm like, I'm not paying for BBC streaming service just to watch this one show.
Well, the BBC iPlayer is free, but I'm not sure about it in America.
Ooh, I may need to check that out, because I wouldn't mind watching it. And hey, I'll give Jodie Whittaker a fair shake.
Yeah.
Okay. The opinion of a person who lives there. What do you think?
I haven't watched much. I've watched 2 episodes, and it's been really boring.
Really?
But, yeah, and the and I've talked to a lot of other Doctor Who fans, and the consensus is it's really boring, and that's really sad.
Is there a reason? Is it just poor storytelling, or are they getting all pretentious and in your face with stuff?
It's not really pretentious. It's just it's slower than usual Doctor Who. I think that's Chibnall's kind of storytelling. He likes to tell with what's it called? What the show he did? It was a detective show with David Tennant.
Broadchurch.
That's the one. That show seemed to be really slow too, but I think that's just his consensus. But I think it's we would like more adventurous, like fast-paced stuff. I think
slow and Doctor Who do not work.
Yeah, unless he's doing a horror Doctor Who, then that works really.
Yeah. I'll give you that one. That's a little different, but it can't be every episode. That's for dang sure. Because especially like after like Tennant and Smith. I mean, those guys were wacky.
Yeah, they were brilliant. They were.
Oh, I loved them.
And even Capaldi, he was fantastic as a Doctor. He was a true fan too. He was like he was like head of the Doctor Who fan club, and sent letters to the show and got them back, and it was really embarrassing for him. And then he became Doctor Who, and that's a heartwarming story, and I loved
awesome.
him.
You know, just a fun thing about Capaldi that I noticed. He was a. Have you ever seen the movie World War Z?
Yes, I know what the Easter egg. His title was Doctor what is it, HWH.
Well, he was a doctor for the World Health Organization.
Yeah,
the WHO. I saw that. I'm like, that's hilarious.
That's either a really good coincidence or that's just a good Easter egg.
I think it's a coincidence because I didn't see the movie until it was announced that Capaldi was going to be the Doctor. He wasn't the Doctor yet, I don't think.
Mm.
And so the movie had already been out for at least a solid year.
Mm.
So I think it's literally just a coincidence.
Yeah.
But best coincidence ever, man.
I know, it was amazing. When Capaldi was announced, my mum lost it because she was a fan of The Thick of It, which is a show that's huge. Like, Capaldi was a brilliant actor in it, and he was so funny in it, and she just lost it because she loved him. And I was like, oh wow, this is going to be great.
And you're a Capaldi fan, although for you, number 10 is still the man.
Oh yeah, 10. It goes 10, 10, 12, 11, 9. I'm sorry, as much as Christopher Eccleston is a fantastic actor, and he was such a great Doctor, and he was the Doctor that got me into it. He doesn't really compare to me. Well, he does.
Right.
But...
Right. Yeah, no, I know where you're coming from. Man, hey, he only gave it a year, so
yeah, but it was a good year.
Yeah, right, and I certainly enjoyed it. The one thing that bothers me about Doctor Who is that there are literally no rules.
Oh yeah, he can do whatever he wants.
I'm like, it gets the one time when it really frustrated me was, and this shows up in other places too. Anything having to do with time travel almost always runs into this. But this particular the Pandoricum storyline, that was the way he got out of it was just like,
yeah, oh come on, he just appears, really.
It's like, so he somehow or another at some point managed to do all this other stuff that set up his escape and put Amy in there.
Yeah.
And why? Because Doctor Who, that's why.
Yeah. And he just comes back out of...
No. I'm like, no. There's got to be some sort of rule. There's got to be some sort of logic to the way this works.
There's got to be consequences or something.
Yeah. It's just like, come on, man. It's like, that's just taking the fact that we're going to do whatever we want with time travel and rubbing it right in your face.
Yeah.
Even when it's more subtle, like, sticking with Doctor Who, there was one episode where he got onto the special features of various DVDs somehow. And
Blink.
Okay. And that was one where he got the list after he found out he got the list of DVDs the person watched after he met the person who saw the DVDs.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, no, because he is still living his life linearly. Yeah,
it's Blink was such a good episode. I'm willing to forgive that.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Good. Almost all the episodes are really good. Just little things like that bother me. It bothers me in other movies too. Interstellar's one that's got that. Terminator kind of does that. I don't know how familiar you are with the Terminator franchise.
I'm very vaguely familiar with it.
See, you know the basic story.
Yeah.
See, the ones they keep doing all of these different stories for Terminator. No one's done the one I want to see. Which the one I want to see is what's the real original timeline? Because at some point there had to be a Sarah Connor who never met a man from the future, who still had a son named John, who grew up to be the leader of the resistance and smash the machines. I want to see that story.
This is the problem with the time travel. Like it cheats. It goes back and then goes forth and goes back, and it creates this line, and it kind of turns into a circle. And how's it turned into a circle like that?
Yeah, time travel just pisses me off. It's like there's got to be some rule, and you can't just say it's wibbly wobbly, tiny whiny, and get out of it, unless you're David Tennant.
Yes, of course. But also interesting fact I was discussing with Bethany about the Welsh language. Wibbly wobbly is actually our Welsh word for jellyfish.
For real?
Yeah, we call it wibbly wobbly.
That is awesome.
And microwave is pippity pong.
What's that now?
Microwave, our Welsh word for it is pippity pong.
All right, then.
Like giving it weird words.
I'm sorry. You're just clashing syllables together and calling it a word at that point.
I'm sorry. Well, we're good at that.
Okay, so but we have wandered very, very far afield.
Yes, sorry about that.
No, that's fine. It's a fun tangent to go on. And actually, we are about out of time here. But what is before we go? I'm going to give you two things. One is what's your general sense of where the UK is and where it's going?
Unless leaders are stronger, we're going to be in a bad place. That's.
And what do you mean by stronger?
Theresa May, although trying, isn't very good at making deals, it seems. And
yeah,
I think a person like Jacob Rees-Mogg might be better, although I don't, kind of grinds on my gears. But all of the as soon as Brexit was voted, all the parties failed. Labour was left with Jeremy Corbyn. David Cameron had to leave immediately. So there was a power struggle in the Conservatives. The UKIP was literally fighting each other in their own buildings, like they were beating each other for survival. And yeah, there's a picture of people punching each other in the buildings. But yeah, so I think our leaders need to be stronger and more capable and more willing to not kill each other.
not kill each other, but also willing to stand up for whatever it is they might actually believe in.
Yeah, politicians, I don't think have anything. I think their main goal is to be fucking
remain politicians.
Yeah.
yeah, don't worry, we have that same problem here, where they're pretty much, it's like my job is to make sure I still have a job in 4 years.
Yeah,
that's not the way this is supposed to work.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. That's I recommend a YouTube video called "Saying Nothing of Substance" by Counter Argument. It's about how politicians say something that seems like they're saying something, but it's saying nothing at all.
Oh yeah. And once you recognize that what's going on there, it's you never miss it again.
Yeah.
Once you realize the doublespeak and the keywords and tricky phrases they like to use to avoid saying anything definite, yeah, you can't unsee it anymore.
That's what's so interesting about Donald Trump. He seems to say something, but this does not really says nothing. He doesn't say anything.
I would agree with that. Even when he does say something, and I don't like to say this actually, because I like a lot of the stuff that he says.
Yeah.
But what has become abundantly clear is, despite saying many a good thing, rarely is there any follow through.
Yeah.
Or what follow through there is usually at best half follow through, or not in the way that you would certainly prefer. That said, usually you can't even get a politician to say the things that I want them to say. So I think that's part of why so many people on the right do still really like him, because it's like, okay, maybe, he's at least done something. He's said much more, and we've been just starving for anyone to even say the stuff that we want them to say, much less do anything. The bar is so low.
Yeah, it was amazing watching him get elected. It really was.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I was watching the Daily Wire live stream for the election, and I remember I got really nervous because they were saying that, like, this might come down to Michigan, and it was really close. And I'm like, I didn't vote for him. I voted third party.
I
was like,
oh, I love you.
I was like, oh no, it's like if he loses by one vote, because I really didn't want Hillary. I really didn't want Hillary.
Yeah, no one wanted Hillary, and no one wanted Donald Trump, but that's what the two you got.
Right. I really didn't want Hillary, so I was like, oh man, did I mess this up? Oh no. Because given the choices, I was like, I'd rather have, given the choice between those two, I would rather have Trump, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But I was and still am in general rejecting the binary choice, because that's accepting every single binary choice is how we got here in the first place. But let's see. I said I was going to give you two things. Okay, that was
Sorry.
one. No, you're fine. I think I'm going to give you three. Another one is your advice to those. What would your advice be to atheists or Christians who are getting into discussions with one another, since you've managed to do this successfully, and as far as I know, not pissed off vast numbers of people?
Respect that people have come to conclusions of their own fruition. They've made judgment calls, and that they've come to the conclusion that this is the way they want to live their life. If they're testing you, then maybe that's encouragement for an argument. But if not, then have respect for them and their own decisions.
Right. Assume good faith.
Yes.
In arguments. Okay, and one other one, the last one I'm going to give you here is, what you mentioned atheist channels that you watch. What would be some that you would recommend?
Cosmic Skeptic is a good one, and what's his name? I think it's called Genetically Modified Atheist. I think it's called. It's a good one too. I know.
Genetically Modified Atheist. Nice. Well, all right, Bryn, thanks a lot for coming on the show. And again, where can people find you?
Brynly01.
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 Okay. And I was going to ask you one more thing. I noticed on your timeline you play violin.
I do. I've not been practicing recently, which is detrimental to me because I've got a lesson soon. But yeah, I've passed level 1, so I'm
do you play in an orchestra at all, or just?
I have been working to get to an orchestra. There's one in a town far away from me, but I can't really get there every so often, so I'm just trying to work out everything right now.
Gotcha. Did you start playing in school, or?
It was after high school that I was like, right, I've got nothing to do. What should I do? Oh, I'll probably pick up the violin.
So you just recently picked this up?
Well, no, it was like 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Dude, I'm in my 40s. That's just recently. So yeah, that's cool. I asked specifically because a couple of my kids play viola.
All right.
And they're both pretty decent at it. The older one is particularly good. So yeah, no, that's very cool. Do you have is any of it available online so people can hear? Can hear you play?
Only on my Twitter, sadly.
Okay.
I might post stuff on the future.
Okay. All right. So for respectful discussion, for occasional violin playing, and an on-the-ground look at what on earth is going on in the UK, and I'm sure just other random things that cross your mind, check out Bryn over at Twitter, Brynly01. And thanks again for coming on the show, Bryn.
Thank you for having me on.
It's been a pleasure. And until next time, guys, next week I'll be here with at Sam Slam Dunk. Sorry, I had too many S's, Sam. What's going on with you? And he's got various other Twitter handles, but he's a political centrist, so we're going to have him on to talk about trying to thread the needle in this day and age. He'll be on next weekend, next Saturday, probably at the regular time of 9 o'clock. So until then, everyone take it easy and keep fighting the good fight.